Okay, so now we are finishing up the 3-7 practice Form G. We've done most of the front side, and we even did this form of it. So that form is the slope-intercept form. The point-slope form would either be y minus 2 equal 1/2 x minus 10, or y plus 2 equal 1/2 x minus 2. You don't have to write both forms on this paper if you don't want to, but I know that on MathXL they're really picky about how they have you put it. If they say point slope form, you could use either of the points. And if they say slope intercept, make sure it's solved for y. So remember, the point slope form would use the slope from your equation from what we did before, like 0.5, or you could put 1/2. And then the normal formula for that is y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. And so you think, x1, y1, x2, y2, or whatever. So you could use either one. Any questions? So if you had wanted to, you could have put this as y2 and x2, but we usually just use x1 and y1. Okay, now we have a number of them that are kind of just easy graphing ones. So on this one it says graph each line. We have y equal -4. They don't tell you what to count by on this, and if the numbers are small, we'll just count by ones, but if the numbers are bigger, we'll just change our scale. The number one thing to remember if it's y equal 4 or -4 is that it'd be horizontal. And here's just a couple of random ordered pairs that would be on that line. It's anything with the y value of -4. So, for example, 0, -4, 2, -4, and even -5, -4. Any of those points would be on the line. So basically we just go down to -4 and draw our line. And there's the 0, there's the 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's the -5. You don't have to put all 3 points, but I'd put a couple of them just so you remember. If it says y equal -4, it means the y value is -4. And so there's no rise at all, there's only run. Any questions? So remember, that means that you'd have slope equal to 0. That's just a little side note you don't have to put, but I'm just putting it. On the x equal 3, that would be vertical. And so you could say 3, 0 would be a point. 3, +2, 3, -4. I mean, it really doesn't matter the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. The main thing is that it is a vertical line. And so the slope would be undefined. So the horizontal one is y equal 4, -4, and the vertical one is x equal 3. Okay, for this one we have y equal 5, and so again we'll count by ones, and so that's just going to be this one. So again, this would be horizontal. It would go through 0, 5, 2, 5, negative 3, 5, whatever you want. Anything ending with a 5. So the reason why I'm listing points is to help you remember what it means. If it's y equal 5, the y coordinate is 5. It doesn't change. Any questions? Okay. Now on number 18, it has an open-ended question that says write equations for 3 lines that contain the point 0, 2. There are many correct answers. 2 for sure that I want you to know are x equals 0 and y equal 2. So that's going to be 2 of them. Before I get to any more, I wanted to show you how to graph these. So I'm going to go to a new document. Now normally I don't graph vertical lines on the calculator, but I will just to show you how, if you ever want to do it. You still go to graph, but instead of function, because that'd be like y equal, like in this case y equal 2, like that, we would need to change it to something else. So how you get to it is you go to menu, which is right there. Then 3 is graph entry edit. 3 is graph entry edit. Normally you just keep it on function. Sometimes you may want to do equation templates, because when I open that, there's line, parabola, circle, etc. And there's slope intercept there, there's vertical line, there's standard form. They didn't put point slope in this list for some reason, but you could do it this way with vertical line x equals c. So it says E1 and then x equal, and you can just push 0 there, and it's that one. Okay, so let me go back to that again. If you go to menu, then graph entry, equation templates for a line has a couple of different choices. Okay, the other way to graph a vertical line is like this. If you back out of this, and instead of going to equation templates, you go to relation. That's where on your own you could type x equals and then just put your number, like in this case 0. So it just traced it. Okay. So one of the very useful things about this calculator compared to the other calculator is all your equation templates. It may not matter that much to you for lines, because those you probably have memorized. But for parabolas, for circles, for ellipses and hyperbolas and other conics, these built-in formula lists are pretty handy. So that's why you need to get used to this calculator. Any questions? Okay, so we have now done 2 of them, and so I showed you from the equation template and also the relation. So those are both good ways to graph x equals 0. The other one, you can choose whatever other one you want that goes through 0, 2. The main thing, well, let me go ahead and do this part. I want to go to menu, then analyze graph, and then the intersection is number 4. Intersection is number 4. So it says graph, so I'm going to pick this graph, and it says second graph, so I'm going to pick this other graph, and there. I don't usually do the intersection on a vertical and horizontal because it's kind of like easy, if you know what I mean. So your x value is 0, your y value is 2. Let's just try different ones for another one. Now, it's stuck in relation right here, so what you have to do is change it back to the F1, F2, that type stuff. So you go to Menu, Graph Entry, and then go back to Function. Remember, a function means x can't repeat. So that's why the relation was good for x equal. So for the function, we want to go through the point 0, 2, which means our y-intercept has to be 2. So I can put 2 plus anything with x. I can say 2x, and it goes through it. I'm going to go to Escape and then Tab. Okay, I'm having to go back to the function. I could have said 2 plus 5x, and it's steeper. I could have said 2 minus 3x. Any of those work. It doesn't really matter what you put. So the ones I used in one of my classes were y equal x plus 2, y equal negative 4x plus 2, or as we did in this class, you could start with the 2 and then say plus 2x. As long as you remember that the y-intercept is what's by itself. So I circled my y-intercept. Then you can have a slope of 1, a slope of negative 4, a slope of 2. It doesn't really matter. A slope of negative 3, a slope of a half, whatever you want. But as long as you have your y-intercept of 2, then it works. So you have these two, and then you choose one or make up your own. Any questions? Okay. So now this is writing it in slope-intercept form from the point slope, so all you do is distribute and solve for y. So y minus 3 equal 4x plus 8. And then from there, add 3 to both sides. So y equal 4x plus 11. Any questions about that? The most common mistake on this would be just to drop down the 2, but you got to do 4 times 2. Any questions? Okay, now on this one we want to distribute, and we have y minus 2 equal negative 2x plus 10, because you're doing negative 2 times negative 5. So just remember on the calculator, the negative sign you use in front of the number is this one, like negative 2, and then times negative 5. So that looks like this, negative 2 times negative 5. Or if you'd rather do parentheses around them, you can. Just remember, whenever you open a parentheses, let me show you, I'm just going to push the open. It does the open and close, and so just make sure it's right. It converted it to the same thing, and it's right. Any questions? Okay, from there we want to add 2 to both sides, and so we get y equal negative 2x plus 12. On our next one, we want to distribute the half. And so basically we're doing a half times 4. I would recommend typing 0.5 instead because it's fewer keystrokes. But if you'd rather do 1/2 like that times 4, you can. It doesn't really matter. But you do get 2. So half of 4 is 2. And then we subtract 1 from both. And so you get y equal 1/2 x plus 1. Any questions? Okay, now you have a word problem. It says a wireless phone company charges $20 for a basic plan for each month, plus 25 cents a minute for each call. Write an equation for x using x as a variable for minutes and y as the total cost. So the number one thing is they want to know whether it's going to be 20x or if it's 0.25x. Since x is the number of minutes, it's going to be 0.25x. Okay, so what we want on this is the one-time charge that's $20 plus 0.25x. And if you'd rather put the y-intercept last, you can. You could have said 0.25x plus 20. Those do mean the same thing. But whether you use your phone for 0 minutes or 1,000 minutes or whatever, it's always going to be at least $20. So $20 or more. So 20 plus 0.25x, or you could say 0.25x plus 20. Your next part says do your cost for these 3 different times. So just to make sure y'all know like basics on the calculator on this, you could just stay on your scratch pad and do 20 plus 0.25 times 300. So that looks like this. Just do that on your regular scratch pad if you want to. The other way to do it is a little bit more efficient if you have to get 2 or 3 of them in a row. And so that would be like this. If you go to your new document and you actually just put in your equation 0.25x plus 20, then you can look in your table. Now it doesn't look like it did anything because the y-intercept's 20, and so really, this should be like 30 or 50. And put 50 for you to see it. But what I really care about is the table itself. So to get to the table, we do Control-T. And you can just scroll down, but it's going to take a long time to get to 300 minutes. So what you may want to learn, I know this is probably the first time in my class to say this, but you may want to learn how to change your table to just be in Ask mode. So what you do is you press Menu, Table, Edit Table Settings, and then change this from Auto to Ask. So you would change your independent to Ask. And so then when you do that, it's less numbers in here. It's actually blank. And you type whatever you want. Remember, your independent variable would be your x. And so there we just typed 300, 350, and 400. And there's our answers. You could type whatever number you want. So those are our amounts. So basically, I guess I'm going to put my answers underneath the minutes. This one was $95. This one was 107.5, so I really want to put 50 for it to make sense. You know, $107.50, and then $120. Any questions about that? Okay, so then the next part says graph them using the values for 300 minutes and 400 minutes. I also want to do one other ordered pair just to make sure you understand it, and so that'd be 0. So with 0, it'd be 20. So when you're graphing it, don't make it go through the origin. Okay, it goes through 0, 20. And then the other ordered pairs, for 300 it was 95, and for 400 it was 120. So then we're just going to draw a graph. Now on the first set of problems with 15, 16, and 17, we just counted by ones, but these are rather large numbers, and so I'm going to count by hundreds for x, since I don't want it to take up the whole paper. So that's called your scale, if you need a reminder about that. In particular, we're saying the x scale is 100. That just means what you're counting by. So that means I'm saving a little space by counting by hundreds. And then on this, we just counted by 50s in the other class. If you count by something else, it may adjust the steepness, but you know, the numbers are what's most important. 50, 100, and 150. If you'd rather count by 30s or a different number, you can. So the first thing is 0, 20, so that's going to be about right there, a little less than half. And then 300 was 95, so go to 300 and then go right below the 100 mark. And then 400 is 120, so about like that. And then just use your straight edge. And just make sure it doesn't go through the origin. Now, if you counted by ones, it would look a lot different. But we counted by hundreds for x, and we set our y scale to be 50. But if you just counted by ones, it would look different. But you know, it's fine. Any questions? If you did count by ones, it'd be flatter. It'd be almost like that. Because you go out to the right 300 and then just go up about 100. So, all right. Our last ones are over here. Graph each pair of lines, then find their point of intersection. So, is y equal -5 vertical or horizontal? Yeah, perfect. That one's horizontal. This one's vertical. Yeah, so what we're going to do is graph your -5 like we did earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is your horizontal line that's y equal -5. And then your vertical one would be x equal -2. So then what I'd want to ask you is this particular point -5, -2, or is it -2, -5? Only put the right one. Which one is it? Does it start with -5 or does it start with -2? Right. So then you just put this one. So do your graph and then the -2, -5. So all you do is you look at your ordered pair because it's an XY ordered pair. And then it's kind of simple. Okay. Any questions? So then this one we already know would be -1, 6 for your answer. And then go to 6. Looks like there's not going to be enough room, so I'm going to count this one by 2's. So y equals 6 would be this one. And x equal -1 would be this one. So in this particular graph, what I did is I did my x scale to be 1, but I did my y scale to be 2. You don't have to write that part, but that's what I did. If you counted by 1s, it'd be basically at the top. There's one other type question I want to show you, because I know there's one like this on the Math Excel. So this is just an extra one, which is put in slope-intercept form from like 3x minus 2y equal 10. You could have random numbers, whatever is positive or negative. The main thing is when you want to put it in slope-intercept form, that means you want to solve for y. So that's what they mean. Solve for y and make it positive. So my first step would be add 2y to both sides because I need a positive y. There are different ways to do this, but this is one of them. And then subtract 10. So 3x minus 10 equal 2y. And then divide everything by 2. So you get y equal 3/2 x minus 5. So just be able to solve this type problem. All you got to do is solve for y. Okay, so there's one other one I'm going to give you a hint on. You should be able to do all of the Form K by yourself, but I want to make sure y'all understand the error analysis type question, which is number 28. So on this one, a classmate says the equation of the line through 3, -6, and -1, -3 is this. Explain the error. So when you look at it, this has a -6 and this has a -3, but this one has positive, this one has negative. And so this part looks like it should be y plus 6. Okay, so the mistake was the sign for y1. If you want to make sure your slope was right, that would have been this. This is the main part I want you to write. which I put in a box, but this is just if you want to check it this way too. This would be -3 plus 6, so changing my y values. Okay, so -3 plus 6, and then -1 minus 3. So this is 3 over -4. -3 minus a -6 and -1 minus 3. So another mistake is the slope should be negative. Let's just double check the way I taught y'all before. If we do a new document, add list, and put X here and Y here, then we'll put 3 and -1. Those are my X's, and -6 and -3 for my Y's. Then you do menu, statistics, stat calc, and then 3, and then put X and Y. Yeah, so sure enough, that also has a slope that's -0.75, which is the same as -3/4. So I'm going to actually just modify my answer. I'm going to put a minus sign here. The mistake was the sign for y1 and the slope. So there were actually two mistakes. Any questions? Okay. So that's basically how you do these. These are very similar instructions to what we just did, and then you can also work on your Math Excel.